Shishir Patel from Ajay Institute of Engineering and Technology in the Department of Electronics and Communication. Today, I am going to discuss about Unit 3, that is Mobile Radio Propagation, Small Scale Pattern and Diversity, with topic Fresnel Zones, Log Distance Path Laws and Log Normal Shadowing. So let's start the session. First of all, let's discuss about the Fresnel zones. In the previous session, we have seen the reflection model and different parameters like the phase transmission formula, and based on that phase transmission formula, we have seen that how one can find out the received power. In case of received power, we need the transmitted power, GT and GR means gain of transmitter and receiver, the wavelength and the distance between the transmitter and receiver also matter. But for the Fresnel zones, we can use this zone to represent the path loss from path length from transmitter to receiver side. Here, the concentric circles are created, and this circles itself called as Fresnel zone. So now let's see how it will look like. So here you can see that in this figure, the T and R represent the transmitter and receiver. Here, this concentric circle will shows you the Fresnel zone. So, whatever the number of concentric circles you can see in this figure, they represent the number of Fresnel zones over here. Here, from the transmitter to the center of that circle, which will give you the distance d1, and from that circle center to the receiver will give you the distance d2. So in short, it will be the distance from the transmitter to obstacle. At the center, we assume that there will be some obstacle present. So from transmitter to that obstacle, distance is d1, and from receiver to that obstacle, the distance we consider is d2. Right? So here, actually the radius of this concentric circle will be represented by small r, and it depends on the various parameters, that is the distance from transmitter to obstacle, distance from obstacle to receiver, as well as the wavelength on which it will operate, and the number of circles that are in the system. So here, if we consider that there are total n number of circles over here for generalized formula, then the radius of that nth particular circle, that will be denoted as Rn. Okay, means radius of the nth particular Fresnel zone circle. That is given by square root of n lambda d1 d2 upon d1 plus d2, where n is the number of circle, lambda is your wavelength, d1 and d2 is distance from transmitter to obstacle and the distance from obstacle to receiver respectively. So here, as I said that Rn is the radius of Fresnel zone. So now actually how it will look like here we consider that between the transmitter and receiver, at the left hand side the transmitter is there, and on the most right side the receiver is there. In between these two houses work as a obstacles between this transmitter and receiver. So it will create the Fresnel zone between the transmitter and receiver. So you can see over here that the nearest zone is denoted as the first Fresnel zone, and as we move from the center to the away from the center, it will shows you that the number will increase, like the nearest circle is called as the first Fresnel zone, then the second Fresnel zone, and then the third Fresnel zone is there. Here we talk about only the first, second and third Fresnel zone. So this is how it looks like. Based on that, let's see one example so the things will be more clear. Our general design link for a microwave link is 55% clearance at a first Fresnel zone. For a 1 kilometer link at the frequency of 2.5 gigahertz, what will be the maximum first Fresnel zone radius that you have to calculate? And the second thing that you have to calculate for this is the what clearance is actually required for this system. Okay, so in the problem statement, the 1 kilometer link is given, means distance is given, and the frequency on which it is operating is given, that is 2.5 gigahertz, means 2.5 into 10 raised to 9. So based on that, let's start with the solution. So first thing that we need is the wavelength, because in the formula of finding out the radius of Fresnel zone, we need the lambda, because its formula is n lambda d1 d2 upon d1 plus d2. So for that we need the wavelength. So let's first find out it. But lambda is equal to c by f. Why we take c? Because here there is no medium is given in the problem statement, and if there is no medium, we have to consider that free space itself is a medium. So lambda is equal to c by f. We know c is equal to 3 into 10 raised to 8. Frequency is 2.5 gigahertz, means 2.5 into 10 raised to 9. If you calculate it, you get the answer, that is lambda is equal to 0.12 meter. Now, for the first Fresnel zone, you have to calculate the radius. Okay. So for the first Fresnel zone, first means the number of circle is n is equal to 1. Okay. So that n equal to 1, you have to calculate the radius. So it will becomes your R1. So if you find out the maximum first Fresnel zone radius, for this you need two more things. That is the distance from transmitter to obstacle and distance from obstacle to receiver. Okay, and in the problem statement 1 kilometer link is given. Now this 1 kilometer link is actually the total distance from transmitter to receiver side. Okay, but in between this transmitter and receiver there may be a obstacle present in between. So here we consider that the obstacle is present in the exact midpoint position from the transmitter and from the receiver side. So if the total link distance is 1 kilometer, then it will be divided by 2, means 1 kilometer by 2. So each distance means the distance from transmitter to obstacle, and distance from obstacle to receiver will becomes the 500 meter. 1 kilometer divided by 2. So now we got the distance d1 and d2. We know that this is the first Fresnel zone, so n is equal to 1. Okay, we have the value of lambda, that is 0.12 meter. So now let's use all the values. The formula of the nth Fresnel zone radius Rn is n lambda d1 d2 upon d1 plus d2. This all the data will be in the square root. So now if we put all the values over here, n is equal to 1 is there, lambda is equal to 0.12, d1 and d2 is 500 and 500. Okay, if you run the calculation, it will be under root 30, and under root 30 means 5.477 meter. So this is the radius of first Fresnel zone. Now we require the clearance required for this particular link, means the total radius is 5.477, but clearance is up to 55%. But this 55% is actually the radius of 55% of this particular nth zone radius. So nth zone radius is 5.477. So you have to take 55% of this particular value. So now let's calculate it. So 5.477 into 55%. So you got the answer 3.01 meter. Okay, so this 3.01 meter will be the above the obstruction to the LOS path. LOS means line of sight path. Okay, so the figure will look like this. Here you can see that between transmitter and receiver, here we consider that the obstacle is at a exact middle position, but if it is given that it will be at a 3 meter position or 4 meter position, then you have to change the calculation accordingly. Okay, here we consider it as a midpoint. So that's why we calculate it by dividing the original value by the factor 2. Okay. Now, the next one is the log distance path loss model. We know that from the Friis transmission formula. Friis transmission formula is mainly used to calculate the received power strength, and from the received power strength formula itself, this will give you the equation for the path loss. So PR is basically given by PTGTGR lambda square upon 4 pi square d square. So based on this formula, we can calculate the path loss, that is given by path loss at d0 plus 10 n log d by d0 plus x of sigma. Path loss at d0 means it is a reference distance, and small n is your path loss exponent, d is the distance between transmitter and receiver, d0 is the reference distance, and x sigma is your Gaussian function. So here there are parameters that will affecting your path loss model is the effect of antenna height and its frequency. Because according to it, this formula will change because the lambda will change by changing the frequency, and if lambda will change, obviously it will give a change in the received power. Now, this is one table for the path loss exponent and signal deviation. Deviation is sigma, that is denoted over here in terms of dB, and path loss exponent is denoted by n. So here you can see in this table that for the various cases, like for the buildings, for the factory and the suburban area, or if there is any obstacle present in between them. So in all the cases, the path loss exponent value as well as the frequency and sigma is given. So here you can see that for the building, the various values will vary between the 1.5 to 2 range. If we talk about factory or alloy set, then it will be 1.6, 1.8, 2.0 or 2.1. Here also the material that is used in that particular case will also matter. So, and according to it, here you can see that change in the signal deviation is there, but you would not remember all the values. If it is asked in a problem statement, then given value will be given for the metal working or maybe for the building type or the factory outlet. So all the values will be given for the signal deviation and path loss exponent. Next one is the normal shadowing. So it will matter when the surrounding environment clutter is present in the environment, and here again we need to calculate the path loss, that is given same as we have done for the previous case, that is for the path loss, but here the thing that is changed is x of sigma. So here it describes the random shadowing effect that can occur due to the large number of measurement location between the transmitter and receiver side. So here it is a type of Gaussian distribution function, because here you can see the term x of sigma. And the Gaussian distribution function is given by 1 upon 2 pi sigma e raised to x minus mu upon sigma square raised to minus 2. So this is the Gaussian distribution function value. You can find out the deviation from it. So this will show you the EDF and CDF for the Gaussian function. Now the next is for the indoor models. It is mainly used for inside the building, and there can be the cases of doors that the position of door also matters, means whether it is closed or whether it is open, and also the different floor, number of floor is also matter, means how many floors are there in a particular building. So here these are the some model names that we will use for the indoor purpose. That is, first one is partition losses on the same floor in a building. Partition losses on a different floor on a building means whenever there is a more number of floors in a building, we have to consider the vertical structure, and here you have to calculate the losses between the floors. Next is log distance path loss model, Ericsson multiple breakpoint model, and attenuation factor model. So these are the list of models for the indoor models. We will discuss about it in the next session. Up to this, if you find any query regarding the session, you can ask me on my mail ID. Thank you for watching.